So now, by now, most people know that President Donald Trump and Melania Trump, his wife, both tested positive for coronavirus. And if you didn't know, now you know. So that's been all in the news and the social media, and so you can look at it on Twitter. So the top White House staffers still not wearing masks. Now, many journalists have come up testing positive for COVID-19. So this right here, this article is saying there's still people that aren't wearing masks. So this is by Alexander Nazarian out of National Correspondence of Washington, hours after President Donald Trump announced that he had tested positive for the coronavirus. Some of his own top aides were still appearing in public without protective masks. So what is that modeling for people? So I have seen people who go in public places without wearing masks. I have seen people who look at people funny if they see you wearing a mask. If they see you wearing a mask, as if you've done something wrong, or they come up not wearing a mask and they look at you like you're going to say something to them and you don't, and then they come right around you like they're daring you to say something. So there's fighting for people wearing masks, not wearing masks. So there's protests where people demand not to wear masks. And however, you have people that end up getting coronavirus. And so you also have people making fun of people who wear masks, and those people wind up somehow contracting it because they're continuing life like normal and they don't really believe that they could get sick. And so there's a lot of denial. There's a lot of people who are listening to conspiracies that coronavirus is not real. And I believe the reason why, one of the reasons, or if not among one of the reasons, is when you have people that are in high paying jobs, they have a lot better health care and they feel like that they are not going to really have to suffer as much. That may be risky too in and of itself, having that attitude that, you have a good doctor or you have good health care and you can tough it out, or maybe just not really believing that you'll get affected because maybe you're younger. I believe I've seen a lot of that where younger people feel like that they can't get sick, and so they don't fear the coronavirus, and that's how you wind up finding out that they're having these large parties because they don't feel like that they can contract it, or if they do contract it, they don't feel like they could die or get gravely ill because they have youth on their side. Being young will afford them a longevity of life. So Washington, out of Washington, hours after Trump had announced that he had tested positive for coronavirus, some of his top aides were still appearing without masks and protective gear. So, including most prominently White House Chief Staff Mark Meadows, the conservative former North Carolina congressman. So, briefing reporters on Friday morning outside the West Wing, Meadows stood at a lectern without covering his mouth and nose, and so flouting the guidance of the president's own coronavirus task force. And so masks protect other people from the viral particles that are shed by another person if they happen to be infected. So I obviously been tested. We're hoping more than 6 feet away, he explained, and if there's any concern there, from the guidance standpoint, we have protocols in place. So Meadows has been in close contact with the president and other White House staffers, as well as the Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. who is now supposedly nominated to replace Ruth Bader uh, Ginsburg. And so she has reportedly tested negative for the coronavirus. So everybody's getting tested that have been in proximity of Melania and Donald Trump. And so First Lady Melania Trump, top White House aide Hope Hicks, Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, Senator Mike Lee, Republican of Utah, have all announced they have tested positive for the coronavirus in the past 24 hours. So, also spotted on the White House grounds was Dr. Scott Atlas, who in recent weeks has become Trump's top coronavirus advisor despite a lack of experience in epidemiology and a record of troubling and inaccurate statements about the virus. So, more junior members of the White House staff, however, appear to have concluded that they and their families are not well served by the anti mask bravado, and there were reports of more widespread mask wearing in the West Wing in the wake of Trump's diagnoses. So Trump himself has routinely mocked the practice of wearing masks, including at Tuesday's debate with Democratic nominee Joe Biden. So Biden's office announced Friday morning that he had tested negative. And so basically, I guess this is a mapping of COVID-19 for North America, South America, Australia, Europe, Asia, and Africa. And so that you can look up online yourself. So I guess that's just kind of giving you a clue. So guys, you gotta wear a mask. It's just really, really scary because there's a lot going on. You don't know who's infected. You don't know who you may come in contact with who may happen to have been exposed to it. So it's like playing Russian roulette. It's just like any other disease or illness or virus. If you just like sexually transmitted diseases, if you sleep around unprotected long enough, eventually you might end up getting something you don't want. When if you're, careless, and it's the same thing. It's just the only thing is it's not sexual. It's just now you're going to these parties, you're going to these restaurants, you're going to large gatherings, you're not wearing masks constantly, and maybe first group of people maybe you're around people who are wearing masks, and so a lot of those people may not have enough of the virus that they're exposing you to, or maybe they're not infected. You got fortunate enough to be around people who happen to not have been infected. But at some point, if you continue to go around large gathering events, you don't know everybody and you don't know who everybody else has been around. And so in the course of the weeks or the months, you don't know all of the people that they've been exposed to. So you just make the chances greater for you to contract the virus the more you go unmasked in public places around people you really don't know much about. And so sometimes people who are wearing masks may have already tested positive and they're trying to keep others safe. So you are not even aware of that. So I think sometimes people think people who are wearing masks are just afraid of getting sick. You're not sure of who these people are. These people may be, some of them who are wearing masks may have tested positive and they're trying to keep you from getting it. And so when you walk around them without a mask, you just put yourself at a higher risk. And so people don't think about it that way. So having said this, I'm going to let this video go. This is a developing story. I fear that more people will come up positive other than just journalists. So having said that, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening. So just keep your eyes and ears open. This is definitely a developing story.